Anybody else like the sound of impact sprinklers in the morning? Or am I the only one? So doing some early morning watering of the garden. Corn's looking good. Pumpkins are coming along. Yes, the corn was knee-high by the 4th of July. We got two different varieties, you can probably tell. This is supposed to be an earlier variety, but not impressed so far. Here's the tomatoes and some beans. And we have squash, zucchini down there. Trying some beets this year. Hey, welcome back to the channel. I Know Enough to Be Dangerous Farm. My name is Rob. And so to continue the over 50 episodes that I'm creating, today we're going to go over some small stuff. You know, being over 50 plus, you've done a lot of things, and you've done a lot of things, some things longer than others, some things you've done for almost 50 years, some things you've done just started this week. So on a Christmas tree farm, there's always something going on, and we do more than just grow Christmas trees. If you watch my videos, you know that. But one of the things I still like doing, 50 plus, is a garden. One of the first things that I had success at is taking apple seeds and growing apples from seed in the attic of my 200-year-old farmhouse that we grew up in. And it did great, and then I moved them into the heat, and I got grow lights. My mother helped me get the right lamp and bulb and stuff, and then I grew them inside, and they were this big in a year. And I didn't know what I was doing. And then I just, you know, the summer came and I wanted to do something else, so I planted them outside, and they're still there today, 50 years later. Not all of them. I think there's 3 left. But, you know, there were from the seed of most fruit trees are grafted, so I just started them from seed. Again, I didn't know any better at the time, but there's apples with bad root zones growing in outside of Cooperstown, New York. Anyways, so different variations of gardening I've done. So this is probably the biggest garden I've ever done, and it's about I don't know, 80 by 80 square with deer fence. And this is the things I've used. These are some of the things I've learned over the years. You got to protect your plants, hence the deer fence. And then I thought I was doing great with the deer fence, but then the rabbits ate through the deer fence, so I had to put metal on the bottom for the rabbits and the woodchucks. And I never had very much luck with sweet corn, but that was because of, you know, animal pressure, basically deer. So now we got we have the sweet corn, we got that dialed in. You know, now we got tomatoes. We had a great crop of tomatoes, but we didn't tie them up right, so hence the cattle panels. And that's what one of the things I'm going to do today is going to start tying these back. You know, the little individual cages, one that's expensive. I know it's a one-time investment, but it's kind of a pain in the butt. It's easier just to put a row down through here, and then we have beans the same way. I'm not going to tie the beans up yet. They're just not big enough. But the tomatoes, last year I got to them tying them up too late, and they got too set in their ways and going where they weren't supposed to, so I damaged a lot of the plants. So this year I'm going to tie them up a little bit better. Another thing we learned is give the cucumbers and the squash and zucchinis a lot more room to go. We do pumpkins. And last year, what I learned is I made the little squares. I wanted square pumpkins for some reason. I made the squares too big. This is one of my squares I made last year, just scrap lumber, and I made them too big. This is like 12 by 12 to get to get a square pumpkin, you need to start them smaller. So I'm gonna put them in half that size, and other things I'm gonna prune back some, or pinch back some of the blossoms. So on my bigger plants, you know, I could produce some bigger, larger jack-o'-lantern size. And you know, that's some of the things we, you know, I tried to grow broccoli last year. Didn't happen, so I didn't even try this year. So we just went with the staples, what we eat and what sells good at the farm stand. So like I said, this video I'm just going to go over some farm duties that I still like doing. One is getting up early in the morning. Who knew? You know what I mean? But when you go to bed early, you know, you got to get up early. So but you know, if I stay in bed now, I get processing of stuff I want to do and how to do it and this, that, and the other thing. And, you know, we're in the midst of that pole barn build. But, you know, this old dog just needs a break from lifting heavy stuff and in the heat. So we're going to do a little stuff of gardening here. And basically the job we're going to do this right now is tie these tomatoes up. And I'm just going to probably just weave. Last year I tried one string the whole way, and it just, in the middle, it just sags and they just go the way they want to. So I'm going to weave in and out in individual plant and into the cattle panel. So we got a section here and a section down there, and I don't know what kind of tomatoes there are. They're red, that's all I know, but I think there's like the normal size and then the cherry or the grape size tomatoes. So thanks for stopping in, and that's what we're doing today. And we're going to go jump into one of the small tree fields to touch those up. I'll give you a couple pointers there. We'll stop by the greenhouse, and who knows, maybe there's something to break and we'll have to fix something. Another thing I've learned is irrigation. So we have two zones. This just runs off a garden hose from the house, so that's why there's two zones. I already ran this zone for a half an hour. I'll run that zone down there for a half an hour, but I love hearing that, but probably because I grew up on a tree farm. There is a garden hose in here, but basically it's keeping the tarp down until these plants are big enough, which they are now. I did do some hand watering over in the tables there, but now the impacts, they'll reach the tables and everything's fine. And those are sunflowers down there. They're just, we don't do anything with them. It's just cool to grow, but they do take a lot of nutrients and, you know, good stuff out of your soil. So put those somewhere. Probably should have them down there, but that down there by the fence line gets a lot of shade, so I wasn't impressed with the performance of the sunflowers last year. So right there is pretty bony dirt, so I wasn't going to plant anything else there anyways, but just hopefully I don't get high enough to shade that corner of the sweet corn. But back to work. I get sidetracked easy. So this is just the nylon, or I don't know what kind of string it is, but it's the string that we use to tie up Christmas trees in the baler, and we just seem to have a lot of it. So all I'm doing is I'm going to the cattle panel there. Well, here's the string. And I'm going around each individual plant, tying it back here, coming around each individual plant. I think I'm too high, so I'm going to go a little bit lower. I'll probably do it up higher too once they get a little bit bigger. Trying to stay on top of this. So here's one plant and here's another one, and I'll go underneath. They're just starting to flower. Come back, do it again and pull. You might have to pull some slack. I don't want individual pieces, that just takes too long for me, so I just have to be patient, which I'm not. just put a little tension on them. As you can see, it's already pulling back. Maybe I'll do half and half here. I wish I just kind of grew them. This looks like a different tomato than this one. It really doesn't matter to me, tell you the truth, but see how this one's very bushy. Go back to this, and then we'll just draw it up. Just giving it a little support. Same thing, draw it up. Oop, too much. I think I'm going to tie this off here. And this nylon string will last all season. So they're nice tied up, and then we'll split this in half. That was about 6 feet. We'll do the next 6 feet. We'll do the same thing. And that's it. And I'll go do those down there. And then these beans probably this weekend, another 5 days. And another thing we do around the garden is we put a row of marigolds, which the marigolds never grow this well. We get the seeds, we harvest the seeds from last year's marigolds, so that's why we can get so many marigolds. But yeah, they never germinate this well. So that's all marigolds all the way around. So I know they should be thinned out, but yeah, we're gonna see what happens. On to the field. Okay, I'm back. Staying along the themes of the video, another thing I like doing is going out into our fields, and especially the younger fields, and just see the progression and see, you know, it's the best way. Like I've talked about before, in the greenhouses, the best way to keep track of your crop is hand watering. It takes most of the time, but you're engaged and you're looking pretty much about every one of those plants. When we have, you know, 23,000 plugs in the greenhouse, it takes a little bit, but you notice the signs and symptoms of problems. So anyways, there's a couple different schools of thought on when to start trimming small Christmas trees, and my school of thought is when they need trimming, trim them. The problem with small trees is they don't all mature or grow, or they're not cookie cutters, as we used to call them back at the tree farm and where I grew up. Shout out to that tree farm. So they're not cookie cutters, so that means they're not all the same, not made on a machine, so they all have different growth rates, genetics, blah blah blah, things like that. So this is the field that we did the demo of the different mowers, and I told you I'd be back in here, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm back in here. So let's go over a couple things, and I'll trim some plants. There's probably 2,000 trees in this field. I won't show you all 2,000 trees because probably half of them I won't even touch. The other half might, or another, I don't know, half of a half will need a snip here, snip there, or a bad spot, or whatever. Right now I'm basically just the ones that are going really crazy and have double leaders is what I'm looking for right now, and any sort of pest. This is the next and last stop. Today will be just checking on the greenhouses. So this is the older one. This is where you know, we made the cutting area. I'm checking for if the mister went on already. Then, you know, on the back side, I'll check for trays. Yeah, those back trays are dry. See, I'm getting a little bit of this, but what happened is it was getting some water from the area, from the cutting area. So they got too wet, so I had to move them down. And you know, without me checking often, I never would have found that. So here are the mums. I cut them back once. You know, they're a little leggy for me, so I'm going to cut them back again. I think I'm going to use the shears on these. I wish I had some of those hand-powered thingamajiggers, but my deal is not, I'll get going so fast and I don't want to cut my drip tube. But they're looking good. Again, they were getting a little bit too wet, hence the yellow. So I had to dial back on the frequency and the length of timing on the drip tube. But also another mistake I made is I got two different size containers on the same system. That's a huge no-no. So don't do that. But 95% of them are that 1 gallon size, so we're good there. I just got to watch these smaller square ones. Here's the planting area. It doesn't get any action this time of year. Another thing I got to check is water level in the tank. We're a little less than half, so I'll fill that back up. Everything looks good. I'll open this every once in a while, just make sure it's doing what it's doing. Here's the ICU, trying to bring them back. Here's some black walnut we propagated. Let's go to the other house. So this house, it looks wet, so they went on. I got these coming on every other day, and it's going to get hot out, so I'll need to check this. Unfortunately, I'm going out of town again. So it looks like it did what it's supposed to do. It came on at 6 a.m. They look nice. Another thing I do is I dumb it right down for myself. I'll put a little cup right in the area getting water. See? Watered. I want to see about half an inch of water in there. So this is what they're doing. Looking good. Everybody's looking really good. Everybody's really happy. Another thing I check in this house again is the water level. This water looks a lot cleaner than the other one because that other tank I used water out of the creek, and it just, you know, got dirty, and I just can't clean it, and I don't want to use harsh chemicals on it. So it'll get cleaner the more we use it. And I have a bucket here because I had a little bit of a leak. Seems to be gone. I just replaced the O-ring in this. Actually, this guy right here, I should just throw this away because I'll try to use it again. I'll check the temperature. It got up to 90 yesterday. It was really hot yesterday. I'll reset it. Again, check the controller. It's going on at 6. Odd days. Make sure it's doing what it's supposed to be doing. Looks good. Looks like I'll have to fill both these tanks, but looking pretty good. I just wanted to share a few things that over 50 I still like enjoying, but it's not for everyone. But the concept is smell the roses, find what you love to do it, and find that happy medium of doing it, loving it, and overdoing it, making it feel like a job. So hopefully I've entertained you. You've started looking at life a little bit differently, even for younger people. As you're growing, appreciate what you have and what it takes to get there. So as always, thanks for stopping by, and take care.